South Africa is once again standing at a crucial political crossroads, and for many citizens, the path forward feels more uncertain than ever before. The African National Congress, the country's long-dominant ruling party, recently introduced what it called a bold and unifying step toward national healing and stability, a government of national unity. This new political formation, which brought together various parties under a shared governance structure, was meant to be a turning point, a new chapter in South Africa's post-apartheid democracy. But just a few weeks after this new chapter began, the mood across the country has shifted dramatically. According to a recent survey conducted by the Institute of Race Relations, confidence in the unity government has dropped sharply. Many South Africans now believe that rather than solving the country's problems, the GNU has become another vehicle for political stagnation, infighting, and a lack of meaningful progress. What was once presented as a national solution now looks, to many, like an empty political performance. To understand why this effort at unity is failing to inspire confidence, we need to go back to the roots of how and why the government of national unity came to be. Following a tightly contested national election, the ANC found itself in an unfamiliar and uncomfortable position. For the first time since the end of apartheid, the party could not secure a governing majority on its own. Years of corruption scandals, service delivery failures, and internal leadership battles had finally caught up to the ANC, and voters responded by stripping the party of its once dominant mandate. Faced with the real possibility of losing power altogether, the ANC had to make a quick strategic pivot. Instead of attempting to govern alone through a minority, it proposed the formation of a unity government, extending olive branches to several other parties in an effort to create a broad-based coalition that could continue to hold power. Initially, this move was greeted with cautious optimism. Political analysts, civic leaders, and even some opposition supporters saw the GNU as a rare chance to reset South Africa's fractured political system. There was hope that bringing multiple parties into one government would encourage transparency, force compromise, and bring a range of new ideas to the table. In theory, this kind of power sharing could help break the cycle of political dominance by a single party and build a government that truly reflects the diversity of South African voices. But in practice, things have not gone according to plan. The IRR's latest polling suggests that the government of national unity has not delivered on any of the promises it made at the outset. Instead, South Africans are watching with growing frustration as the coalition becomes bogged down in bureaucracy, infighting, and a glaring lack of clear leadership. Herman Pretorius, the IRR's deputy head of policy, captured the sentiment perfectly when he said the GNU was sold to the public as a solution, but the longer it drags on without meaningful progress, the more it looks like just another ANC survival tactic. This comment reflects a broader and growing perception that the GNU is less about national unity and more about political self-preservation. Many people now view the coalition not as a bold experiment in cooperative governance, but as a fragile and unstable alliance designed primarily to keep the ANC at the center of power, even if it means dragging others along for the ride. One of the most troubling outcomes of the GNU experiment so far is the policy paralysis that has accompanied it. With so many competing voices in one government, it has become nearly impossible to reach consensus on key national issues. Decision-making has slowed to a crawl, and public services are continuing to suffer as a result. From electricity shortages to water crises and infrastructure failures, the basic machinery of government is still breaking down, and the GNU seems unable, or unwilling, to act decisively. This is not the dynamic that South Africans were promised. Instead of reform and responsiveness, they're witnessing delays, disagreements, and an inability to chart a clear direction forward. Another major source of public frustration is the sense that the GNU has failed to bring any real accountability into government. One of the key arguments in favor of a coalition model was that it would make it harder for corruption to flourish. With multiple parties watching each other, supporters believed it would be easier to identify misconduct and prevent the kinds of scandals that have plagued the ANC for years. But that hope has also faded. Not only are there ongoing concerns about corruption, but the presence of various smaller parties in government has not led to greater transparency or oversight. Instead, many of these parties appear to have been absorbed into the ANC's orbit, weakening their ability to hold it accountable and reinforcing the perception that the GNU is simply a new label for old problems. The failure to deliver change is fueling a deeper political cynicism across the country. Citizens who once hoped the GNU might signal a new era of political maturity are now beginning to see it as yet another performance, a political theater with no real substance. Political analyst Thandi Makona described it as unity without vision and dominance without direction. Her words resonate strongly with a public that feels increasingly disconnected from those in power. The disappointment is not just about what has gone wrong so far, it's about the fear that things might not improve anytime soon. And that fear has consequences. If the ANC continues down this path without making serious changes, it risks a major backlash in future elections. The IRR's findings suggest that voter patience is running thin, and unless the party can show that it is capable of delivering actual results, it may face further losses at the polls. In a country where political loyalties are beginning to shift and new movements are gaining momentum, the consequences of continued failure could be profound. South Africa may be on the verge of a major political realignment, one that could reshape the landscape in ways we have not seen since the transition to democracy in the 1990s. For now, the ANC stands at a critical juncture. The unity government gave it a second chance, a brief window to demonstrate that it could govern differently, govern better, and include others in the process. But that window is closing fast. The message from the public is growing louder and clearer with each passing day. People do not want grand speeches or symbolic gestures. They want working hospitals, reliable electricity, functioning schools, clean water, and real accountability from those in office. And they are no longer content to sit quietly while politicians argue and delay. What happens next will depend on how the ANC and its coalition partners respond to this moment. Will they listen to the warning signs and make the hard choices needed to rebuild public trust? Let us know what you think about the ANC's government of national unity. Has it lived up to its promises in your community? Are you seeing real changes, or do you feel like it's just another political performance? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button if you found this analysis useful, and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns and updates right here on the political spectrum.